Welcome to Herbstreit's Convo with Ashleigh Wilson.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Crazy to see you here again. I hope you had a good week last week. I hope you have a good week this week. Happy New Year. 2022 is here, and Lord have mercy, did she give us a whole lot in a few days. Am I right? I feel like we would be disserviced. One, we're not talking about basketball this week. We talked about it a lot last week, and nothing really happened other than the fact that, LeBron has given up on the fact that his team will be good this year and has really embraced the whole stats over win mindset. And I'm proud of him for that. You got to do what you got to do at 37. That's all I got to say. But we have to start off this week talking about Antonio Brown. I know everyone and their grandma is saying this man's crazy. He's out of his mind. He needs to get some professional help, blah, 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 blah. And I think everyone, wouldn't hurt anybody to go get a little therapy, a little counseling. Really don't think it would hurt anybody, but I don't think that's the case in Antonio Brown's situation. I think that a good majority of people who are out here, shaming this man for walking off the field in his flamboyant fashion as he did. But if you don't know what I'm talking about for some very odd reason, Antonio Brown this Sunday when the Bucks played the Jets during the third quarter going into the fourth quarter, he was in a very heated discussion with the coaching staff, and he was seen starting to take off his helmet and his pads and all his jerseys and his undershirt and his gloves after he was, having a conversation with Mike Evans, which basically looked like Mike Evans was trying to get him to stop taking off his clothes. And he, did a little hop scoot dance, riled up the crowd, and then walked out of the stadium and was on the corner waiting for his Uber, which, I think a lot of people are calling him crazy and all these other things is because they're just mad that Antonio Brown did what you want to do on your job. You can't say you were never in a situation where you were like, I'm done, I'm walking out, peace out, don't want to talk to you again, don't call me, don't text, I'm over this. And that's exactly what Antonio Brown did. And y'all are just mad that you can't do that at your job because you're not a multimillionaire, which is fine. But I don't think it's right for people just to run around calling him crazy. I feel like it's quite insane that people are taking that route. So when people are going on about how, he's insane and he needs mental help and everyone deserves to get the help he needs, I don't think that's a good route that we're taking for this situation. And I also don't think that, because it was reported that with all his incentives together, he was basically $1 million away from all his incentives. One was 3 catches, another was 100 yards or something like that. And everyone's Bruce Arians sat him out because they didn't want him to get his touches and all these things so he can get his incentives. And I don't necessarily think that's the truth. Here's why. Because one, Antonio Brown faked a vaxxed card and got himself suspended 3 games. So, if you cared about your incentives, you probably wouldn't have done that, And second is that there was a whole nother game in the season. If that was their last game, their season finale, the end of the year celebration for them, I don't think that story fits. Now, maybe that story does fit if, they were benching him because they didn't want him to get that incentive. And it's happened before. It's happened a whole lot of times in the NFL. As we all know, it happened to Victor Cruz at the Giants. So it happens, but I don't think it was necessarily happening in this situation, as it wasn't the last game of the season. So he still had another opportunity to get those incentives. From the reports and the few bits of information we've gotten from the people on the sidelines, is that Bruce Arians is trying to sit him out. And then Bruce Arians said he can come back in the game. But AB said he was hurt and he didn't want to play hurt. And now Bruce, it's a lot of talk and everyone has their own opinion. But Bruce Arians and basically the entire Tampa Bay staff is they had a conversation and that led to his actions. So we can't really assume anything without knowing that conversation in whole and what the conversation, one, was about, and two, who said what, why they said that, things like that. So I don't think it's fair for us to call AB crazy. You shouldn't slap a crazy label or slap CTE on any, athlete in a very hard-hitting sport just because they do something out of the norm. Like, again, personally, I don't think that was out of the norm. He was upset with his job and he walked out. And I don't think that would be AB's last time playing in the league. I truly don't. As flamboyant and passionate this man is about the game of football, I think that he's truly a Hall of Famer. Now, will he get in the Hall of Fame because of his actions? Probably not, because we all know the people in camera, they're a little stuck up. We all know the people on camera are a little pinkies up, if you know what I mean. He should be. He's great at his job. He's great at being a wide receiver. And he'll definitely not, be gone from the NFL if he doesn't want to, especially right now since, they're trying to get whoever they can. But the second biggest story I think that happened this week, definitely in the NFL, Big Ben played his last game this Monday Night Football, which big congrats to him. Like everyone else, Ben has a past and we should acknowledge it, but we're not going to talk about it today. But I think it's nice. I really do hope that was his last game at Hinesville because, as I said, Big Ben's got that old man complex. And I think he's starting to come around to the fact that, his time has come to an end and it's ready for something else. But also, you never know what in the world's going to happen with Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who knows? He's probably going to be sitting in training camp ready to go at it again another year. And Mike Tomlin is going to literally be running away from him because he's like, I can't get rid of this old man. But it's going to figure itself out. He's had a really good career. He's made a whole lot of money. But the wildest part to me was at the end of the game, when he was with his kids and his wife, I just assume he had more. Because in my mind, like Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers are on the same level. 99.9 million, 5 kids. I just thought they were on the same level. So when I saw his family, I was like, interesting. Good for you. But he's had a great career. He's done a lot for the city of Pittsburgh. And he's going to be great. He's probably going to be an analyst and he's probably going to end up not being good at it. But that's one of the benefits of being good at football is you automatically have a analytic career right behind you, even if you're not good at it. Looking at you, Tony Romo. Looking at you, sir. And we have to give a major props to the Cincinnati Bengals. They won the AFC North and they're going to the playoffs. Like, what? So happy for Joe Burrow. So happy for Jamar Chase. And not only did they do that, they did it in the middle of the week. They beat the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, the big bad boys in Kansas. And they also, knocked the Browns out of playoff contention. So it was an all good around day for everyone involved. But I think that now we're getting close to the end of the season. We're making our points. We're making our marks being heard. I think a lot of people owe Jamar Chase an apology because we all know at the beginning of the season, everyone is saying he wasn't good. He was drafted too high. He can't catch. He can't get open. Blah, 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 blah. He can't do this. He can't do that. And I think we didn't give this man enough credit. One, he didn't play a whole year of football. Football is a sport where you need the game, the refs, the lights, the, national anthem, the band in the background. Like, you need all that to play actual football. And if you're not playing in a game, you're not getting the reps, you're not staying consistent. Yeah, you can practice all you want. But football is not like basketball where you can just, find 5 guys and y'all can play a whole game. Like, it's not that simple. So, yeah, he had a little rust on him. Yeah, he needed some time to adjust and figure it out. And he did it. By week 5, 6, 7, this man was on it. And now he's second in receiving yards. He's second in touchdowns. Like, this man is doing things. And he really should be the rookie offensive player of the year. Personally, in my opinion, he should have that locked down. And so a lot of people looking at you, Nick Wright, owe this man a great apology because I feel like, especially in football, yes, it's only 18 weeks and they play once a week. We don't give people time to develop. Like, going from college to the NFL, going from college to the NBA, yes, it's technically the same game of basketball or football, But the way it works is completely different. And we're not giving people time to adjust. Like, we're like, oh, you're not good after the first 2 weeks. You're trash. You're a bust. You're no good. And yes, we didn't do the same thing with Joe Burrow because he ended up getting hurt. And yes, people are doing the same thing with Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, but that's a whole different situation because we all know when you get sent to Jacksonville in your draft situations, it's just not going to really work out that well for you. You're going to have a long road ahead because let's look at the story of Leonard Fournette. He's gotten out and he's gotten better for himself, but we all know that's a whole different subset of situations when you get down there to Jacksonville or even the Jets. All I have to say, the LSU 2019, 2020 national champions, they're kind of running the league right now. You got Joe Burrow. You have a little head-to-head matchup of possibly being one of the best QBs this season. And then you have Jamar Chase, who is killing it in the receiving yards on the rookie side. You have Justin Jefferson, who is like right behind him in every single one of those categories. He's second in receiving touchdowns, and he's like the first player since who knows when in NFL history to have like back-to-back 1,000 receiving yards their first 2 seasons in the league. Is that probably technically the right stat? Maybe I got some words around there confused. Don't look it up. But I think that, like I said, that 2020 national championship LSU team was special, generational, once in a lifetime. And they're showing that in the NFL in their own prospective teams. And that's why I said Ed Orgeron was lucky to have them. But talking about LSU and colleges and all that good fun jazz, we had the biggest bowl week in a while this past week, as well as we had the CFP semifinals and all those New Year Day games. And we all know that I have genuinely talked about this 1,005 times, and we'll talk about it probably another 1,007 times. The fact of, opt-outs and the drama when it comes to people opting out. And what Kirk Herbstreit said during College Game Day this week was outrageous. And it was outrageous. It was inconsiderate. And it was just dumb, if we're going to be completely honest. If you don't know what happened, he basically goes on this 15 minute rant about how the players who are opting out, they don't love football. They don't care about their teammates. They don't care about their program. They're basically selfish. And he was comparing it to when he played college football and when Desmond Howard played college football. And we all know, yes, it's technically still the same game as when you played in the 80s, but it is a entirely different ballpark of what is happening. Players have learned how to protect themselves as well as protect their money. And yeah, wouldn't I have loved to see Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave out there playing in the Rose Bowl? Definitely. But do I completely understand why they're not playing? We saw that in the Ole Miss Baylor game as Matt Corral twisted his knee all 7,000 kind of ways. And he was on crutches before we even got to halftime. That is the exact reason. We saw it again in the Iowa bowl game as, their guy who's projected to go in the first round, as he left the game right at the beginning of the third quarter as he tweaked his ankle and went into the locker room. We never saw him again. These are the reasons why athletes aren't playing, because they want to protect their money. And, after you've gotten dogged by the system time and time again, it's time to stand up for yourself. And that's what they're doing it. They're doing with their NIL money. They're doing it with the brands and the things they're establishing for themselves outside. And if you think by them protecting themselves and looking towards their future is going to hurt them as when they go into their next career or hurting their program, it's not. Because the thing that they sell every single one of these kids on when they go to their campuses and they want to be on their team and sign that national letter of intent is the thing of being in the NFL, is achieving that dream. And by, I know no kid is ever going to go up to Ohio State or LSU or Alabama. Well, nobody really sits out at Alabama, but I know they're never going to be not going to go here because their players opt out of, the Cheez-It Bowl game. No, that's never going to happen. It didn't happen then, and it's not going to happen now. And you can even tell that the rest of the people on the panel, they were kind of like, Kirk, you're out of pocket. Like, this is insane. And they weren't really agreeing with him. They were trying to like kind of move around what he said and trying to make good out of it. And Kirk just kept putting his foot in his mouth. And again, I don't think he should give an apology, because if that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But he's wrong. He's wrong because he's holding these kids to a standard that he's not holding the football coaches to. Because if you're going to consider that mindset toward the players, you should also have that same mindset toward Brian Kelly, who basically opted out of Notre Dame's bowl game for the money and went to LSU. He did the exact same thing. He was focused about his future, and he made a business decision instead of a decision with his heart. And that's how you create wealth. That's how you move forward. Kids go to college to get prepared for their future. And yes, these kids are going to college and their future is a sport. Their future is technically a game. But at the end of the day, it's still their business. Their body is their business. And they're trying to protect that. And I give them the utmost respect for it. But on a lighter note, let's talk about the CFP. Will there ever be good semifinal games in the CFP? Like, are we ever going to get a good semifinal round? Probably not. But it was, same old, very lopsided, as always. Bama beat Cincy. Georgia beat Michigan. At least the Bama-Cincy game was a little bit close. As I, do have to give the Cincinnati defenders their props. Round of applause for Cincinnati defense. They came to play. They looked at the tape. They did their homework. They were ready to play. Cincinnati's offense, not so much. I feel like they forgot that you can't run the ball like that against these boys from the SEC. Like, these boys didn't have air conditioning. They didn't have air conditioning. They ate PB&Js for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, they were out here living on oodles and noodles. They did not have 5-star steaks and steak and potatoes, corn, asparagus every night of the week. Like, they were actually in the trenches their whole life. So you're not going to be able to beat them in the trenches in this football game. So that was something that I think that really, shook them up. Even though, yeah, they did play Georgia last year in the bowl game, it's not the same. You're not going as hard in just a basic bowl game as you are in the CFP, especially if you're an Alabama who thinks you've been done wrong by every single body this season. You're going for something different and you're going for something else. And Alabama's defense really showed that. So that's all I have to say about that. Well, not really. I know Travis Kelce obviously had to play college football somewhere, but I just feel like him playing football at Cincinnati has just been kind of random. Like, no one really talked about it. It was really not a thing until Cincinnati started being good at football. And it was like, oh, Travis Kelce is our famed alumni. It's just kind of weird. Like, it's just kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, I know it didn't come out of nowhere. You can go, like, find the tapes of him playing for Cincinnati. But I just feel like it's been a little random. It was just kind of like, I went to Cincinnati now. Now I'm going to actively be a participant alumni of this university because they're good now, which I understand. Hey, like, keep your head low when things aren't great, But on the other side, Georgia and Michigan, Georgia did the tape. They did the study. They did the homework. They locked down Aiden Hutchinson. And Michigan could never really get it going. They couldn't get that offense going. That Georgia D was too strong. And we're going to have a fun championship on Monday. It's going to be very emotional. And I think Bam's going to have a hard time because with anybody, it's hard to beat somebody twice in the same season. I don't know who's going to win. I hope it's a good game. I hope it's not too crazy of a game. We don't go into overtime because, I got things to do on Tuesday. So let me know how you guys feel about what's going to kick off in the CFP National Championship. Again, I'm excited. Hit me up if you're watching on YouTube in the comments or at Her Sports Convo on IG in the DMs. Or you can let me know in a story. I don't really care. And we have to talk about the Rose Bowl. Like, oh my gosh. Arguably one of the best bowl games I've seen in lifetime. One of the best college football games we've seen all season, if we're going to be completely honest. It was offensive heavy, defensive light. They said, I'm going to dump the whole canister of offense on this game, and I just put a little pinch of defense on it, which is fine. We all love a high-flying game. I just couldn't help wanting Utah to win. I know we all know about my feelings toward the state of Utah, but this team has been through a lot. If for some reason you don't know, they've lost 2 of their teammates within 9 months of each other, and those kids been through a lot. And like I said, every time I see that story about, what happened, I'm like, this is sad. Because, sometimes ESPN, they run those same stories all college football season. And you're like, oh, I'm over it. We've heard about it 9 million times. But every time I hear that story, I'm just like captivated. I'm here. I'm like, yes, I know what they're going to say. Yes, I've seen it. But I watch the whole thing every single time. Anyway, let's get back on topic. They did such a great job. And congratulations to Utah. I am not a moral victory kind of gal, but y'all deserve it. Y'all went out here. Y'all literally could have gave up in the middle of your season when your teammate died. Y'all could just been like, we're done. We're scrapping this season. We've been through enough. We need a break. And everyone would have completely understood. But you didn't. And you won the Pac-12. You were a few seconds away from going into overtime and competing in the Rose Bowl again after falling down. Your quarterback went down. It's a story of a lifetime, and they shouldn't be ashamed. If for some reason you play for Utah, you're a Utah fan around here. Not my demographic, but hey, if you're here, what's good? You shouldn't be sad. You should not be sad at all. And on the opposite side, we do have to give Ohio State props because CJ Stroud, they were calling for this man to be bitched week 2. They were looking for his head all season long, and then he came out there and he showed them what to do. Again, like I said with Jamar Chase, you got to give these kids time to adjust. He is a true freshman quarterback, and this man did what he did in the Rose Bowl, and he showed up and he showed out, and that was some of the best quarterback play I've seen. Also to Cam Rising, whatever his name is, on Utah, best quarterback play I've seen in a long time as well. Good for you, CJ Stroud, and I'm excited to see what you're going to bring the next 3 years, as well as Jackson Smith Njambe. If you're out there, you can come on the show and teach me how to pronounce your last name. This kid is going crazy. I was like, I know every single NFL GM, specifically those who need wide receivers, were literally scratching their eyeballs out knowing that they have to wait at least another year to get this kid on their team. Because now Jackson's going to be, his top receiver because, he was behind Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave now. And now he's going to be getting the number 1 target and it's going to be his offense. And if that was just a preview of what we're going to be getting next season, I'm stoked with a capital STOKED. I hope that's how you spell stoked because I'm not really good at spelling. If you look at their depth chart from last year, it was Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, who's now the star wide receiver at Alabama now, and then Jackson Smith. That is a serious killer roster, and I'm happy that Jackson is now going to get his light next season because that kid, good. As generational. Probably generational. Okay. I'm going to stop fawning over this boy. And that's all I got this week. Make sure to like, comment, rate, subscribe wherever you decide to listen to your podcast at. If you're not rating 5 stars, what are you doing? Don't rate if it's not 5. We don't want it. Also, make sure to check out the Her Sports Convo Instagram at Her Sports Convo to stay up to date on all things Her Sports Convo. Check out the Her Sports Convo YouTube channel where I post new videos every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The video that came out this week was about NBA 10-day contracts. As we know, that's what basically 75% of the NBA is on right now. So make sure to go check that out if you want to know specifically how much these jokers get paid. As well as subscribe to the Her Sports Convo podcast channel where I post new podcast episodes every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. And, let me know on Instagram how you're feeling. I don't know how we're feeling. We're going into the NFL playoffs, not next week, but basically next week. I'm excited. Let me know how we're feeling. I'm going to stop talking. So, as always, be safe, have fun, and don't be afraid to join the convo.